Thank you, Christy, and thank you, Molly, as well. It's so nice to see everybody here. I'm going to go ahead and read the mission statement for this Art for the Heart meeting. Our mission, Helping Parents Heal, is a nonprofit organization dedicated to assisting parents whose children have passed. Through support and resources offered, we aspire to help individuals become shining light parents, meaning a shift from a state of emotional heaviness to one of hopefulness and greater peace of mind. HPH goes a step beyond other groups by allowing the open discussion of spiritual experiences and afterlife evidence in a non-dogmatic way. HPH affiliate groups welcome everyone, regardless of religious or non-religious background, and encourage open dialogue. Attendance at this meeting is voluntary. We hope that participants will learn from and share with each other. Discussions here are confidential and not designed to replace traditional therapy or spiritual counseling. Zoom meetings run online are not confidential. These meetings typically feature guest presenters and are posted on YouTube so that other members worldwide can watch and benefit. Neither type of Helping Parents Heal meeting is designed to replace traditional therapy or spiritual counseling. I think I have one that repeats itself here. Sorry, this mission statement. Helping Parents Heal offers a wide variety of speakers, allowing parents to learn about many possible ways to heal. This includes presenters covering progressive topics such as afterlife evidence and connecting with their children in spirit. The views expressed by our guest speakers may or may not reflect the opinions of Helping Parents Heal leaders and members, so we ask that you take from their presentations whatever may benefit you personally. That was way too long, I'm so sorry. But in any case, thank you so much for letting me do that mission statement. Welcome, Molly, and I'm going to pass it over to you, Christy.
Thank you, Elizabeth, and thank you, Molly, for being with us today. Thank you, everyone who's joining us here in person, and for those of you who are going to watch after the fact. I do not have a bio for Molly, so I'm going to just let her introduce herself. I found Molly's work on our Helping Parents Heal Art for the Heart page, and she has beautiful watercolor paintings that she has posted. So if you haven't seen those, go back and look at those on the page. And I asked her if she would like to come talk to us about her art journey, about her son Hudson, her experience connecting with Hudson, and tell us how art has helped her heal and what she's doing now. So Molly, I'll just let you go right ahead.
All right, thank you very much. And I apologize ahead of time. I'm a little under the weather, so if I'm stuffy and hard to understand, I'm sorry for that. But I'm so excited to be here today. A little bit about me. I'm a Shining Light mom. My son Hudson was almost 2 when he transitioned in 2022, and I'll get more into that in a little bit. I'm also a licensed counselor, and I do watercolor on the side, and hopefully I'm just kind of hoping that that grows with time. I just absolutely love it. So, yeah, so a little bit about Hudson. He had a tragic and sudden passing while he was outside of our care in March of 2022. And as you know, all of you probably have felt with that major trauma and just shock to the body. I think I really remember fear being one of my dominant emotions when it first happened. I know we kind of all have a different experience, at least initially, of the emotions that we feel, but for me, it was fear that took hold, and it was very debilitating. I did take time off of work just to work on my own healing, and I do remember someone gave me the book 7 Lessons from Heaven, probably a week or two after he passed. And initially I was like kind of hesitant to read it. I didn't really know if I could handle hearing about a near-death experience after going through everything with him. But I read it and it was life-changing. Like, that's an understatement. It would just totally like blew my mind open. I've always been spiritual. I've gone to mediums before, like even before all of Hudson's transition and everything, but this like brought my understanding to just a completely different level of what happens when our souls transition, and kind of just some of the big questions that I had about like, why are we here, and why, why does God allow these tragedies to happen? I think I had just so many philosophical questions going around and around in my head, and that helped to kind of start almost like a new foundation for me of understanding and wisdom. And that was like the launching pad. And shortly after that, I found HPH through one of my friends that I had met as a result of Hudson's passing. She had gone to an angel reader and was on her like email newsletter. And that person had talked about her collaboration with Helping Parents Heal. And so she sent this to me and she's like, I think you need to check out this grief organization. Like, they're all, they're spiritual focused and they just sound like they'd be amazing. So I got involved with Helping Parents Heal. I attended the conference virtually that first summer. So that was like a few months after he had transitioned. Listened to every single speaker that was on there. And it was just like, I was like, I feel like I'm home. These people get me. I get them. Like, this is exactly what I needed to hear. And I just knew that Hudson had like led me, like little breadcrumbs along the way. Like, he had led me to find that. And it was exactly where I needed to be. Which I'm sure most of you have felt similar experiences along your journeys too. So yeah, I got a little bit more involved with Helping Parents Heal. I started a small group called Parents of Infants, Toddlers, and Young Children. So just because it is, all of our situations have nuance, right? And so I was like, I really want a little spot for parents to come that have younger kiddos. It's a different experience, and it's not, not to say it's harder or easier or anything like that. There's no judgment about any of our grief experiences, but there's just nuance. And so I wanted to open a little space for parents of younger kiddos to come together and really be able to like sort through those questions and chat and process emotionally, and just find some healing. So I did that and then passed the group off to another mom, because I had another child, and I also went a little bit more full time into my counseling career. So that's kind of where I'm at currently in life. But I really enjoyed my time leading that group and getting to know some of the other parents, and hearing about their kiddos, and just like healing together, just knowing that we're in this together and we're not alone, and we can support each other as earth angels, but we also have so much divine support around us too, and our kids, of course. So I have done that. And then I also have helped out with the mediumship certification program. So I've been a test sitter for a bunch of mediums, and that's been amazing. I've loved that process, just making sure that people are credible and reliable, because we are a group that really needs that. We need high quality people if we're going to be doing readings with mediums. So that's been an awesome experience through Helping Parents Heal too. What else do I want to talk about? Oh, I can talk a little bit more about how the watercolor piece started. So this was probably, I don't know, maybe 6 weeks or 8 weeks after he transitioned. I just got this random thought. It was probably Hudson sending me a nudge that I should go downstairs and get my old watercolor set out of the basement. So I had taken a 4-week J-term class in college on watercolor, and I was terrible at it. Like, truly, it was not my jam. I tried. It was fun. I was not good. But I was like, you know what? This could be something that, you know, I have all this stuff. Why not just go get it? So I went downstairs, and as soon as I went to go do that, I got a sign from Hudson. And the sign, one of the ways that he communicates is through our fitness watches. So we have these, they're very basic, like they're from my old company. I don't know. They don't do a lot, but they light up and they say hello and buzz. And like that had never happened until Hudson's transition. It started happening to both me and my husband. Like probably a week or two after he transitioned, we started seeing these little hello buzzes on our fitness watches. And we were like, what is happening? We've had these watches for 6 years and they've never done this before. So we both knew it was him. So when I went to go get the watercolor supplies, he buzzed my watch with a little hello. And I was like, okay, hey buddy, like I know you're here and I know you're guiding me toward this, and that this is a really healthy way to cope with the grief. So I got it out and I just started playing with the paints. I think I didn't really quite know what I was doing at first. And then I started looking up some YouTube tutorials, and I even took like a paid online course with Jean Haynes, who is kind of she's a master watercolorist. She does more loose styles. I do more detailed, but she was good to learn from at first. Um, but really, like my process with watercolor, I I find it very meditative, and that's why I like the detailed nature of it. I know for a lot of people, they like being messy and being free, and that feels really opening and expansive. For me, I like the little details. I like that it's, you know, the small things that my mind needs to zero in and focus on, and that really is calming to me. So I think for a while I felt like, oh, why am I not like doing this loose style of watercolor like everybody else likes, you know? Like I thought, oh, maybe I'm doing it wrong, or, you know, but I found that over time, like that's just my style. Like that's my artist voice coming through, and that's part of who I am and my soul, and what calms me and helps me to meditate and like bring me peace in the watercolor process. Um, so while I'm doing that, I like sometimes I'll say a little prayer or set an intention or just ask like God or spirit to flow through me and flow through the paints and the water before I start. And I'll turn on music. Sometimes it's like praise and worship music. Sometimes it's like, you know, like angel music that's set to a certain like frequency, or like a healing intention music, you know. So it's kind of like whatever I'm in the mood for that day, I just go with. And that helps me kind of get into that flow state too. It's really interesting. Like I can almost feel when I hit that flow state. And I'm sure if you guys are all artists too, or have, you know, even maybe even other activities in life, like even washing the dishes or going for a run, like you felt flow state before and you know when you're in it. But for some reason, like the music can really help me to tune into that as I'm painting. And it calms my mind. So I will get like intuitive thoughts that pop through while I'm painting. And sometimes I'm still learning how to discern whether it's Hudson or whether it's, more source energy or angels or my own thoughts or my higher self. I'm still kind of trying to sort out the distinctions, but I think the cool thing is that like I can actually hear those things or see the visuals and be able to like paint what I see or paint what I feel inspired, what's like coming through like as divine inspired topics, all these different things. So I am working on honing that connection. I'm taking a mediumship course right now with Britta Grubbin. So I'm hoping that connection will strengthen and that I'll actually, be able to tune in directly with Hudson too, or to know that I'm tuning in with him. But I do think art has really opened up that channel a lot, which is really cool. And I don't know that I would have found it as quickly without, that expressive piece, that creative piece. And I think probably we all find it in different ways, like connecting with our kids. For some people, it might be sitting out in nature. Other people, it's journaling. Other people, it's art. And maybe it's all of it too. I don't know. But I do think that the art piece has been really important for my journey. And just from an emotional standpoint too, I think it just allows me that quiet space to be with my thoughts and my feelings and to not have to do anything with them, just truly like sitting in that place of acceptance and letting it pass through. It helps me too to not overly attach to the thoughts and the feelings and to kind of just be like, oh, there's the fear or there's the anger or there's the loneliness that I feel without him, or, but to just kind of let it pass through and to see it from like an eagle's eye perspective, or the perspective that maybe I would see it from if I were in heaven looking down at someone else. So I do think it shifts perception and really aids with emotional healing. And I think there's also something really healing about using your body to express and like getting those things out through the body. It's totally the mind body connection that I think is it's so powerful. So I think those are the initial things that really come to mind for me. Trying to think if there's any. Do you have any questions, Christy?
I
Or
do
give
have
you
I do
okay.
have a list of questions
All right.
actually. First of all, can you tell me again what the book is that you mentioned at the beginning? I missed
Oh,
the
yes.
title.
7 Lessons from Heaven.
Okay. And who
Yeah.
wrote that book? Do you know?
Dr. Mary Neal, and she's been an
Oh,
HPH
okay.
speaker. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's wonderful, isn't
Yes.
she?
I so resonate with that book. And um, once I read it, I just couldn't stop telling everybody about it. Like, I was like, this is amazing. Like, you have to read it. And it kind of got me down a rabbit hole of reading all the near-death experiences online too. Like I found a research site, Ender, that has just a ton of amazing stories on there of
That's funny. I think we have a lot of things in common.
yeah.
I have
Okay.
also watched literally hundreds and hundreds and
Yes.
hundreds of near-death experience accounts. And
Yeah.
um, I think we're looking for reassurance
Yes, of course. And
and
comfort.
hearing the same stories repeated over and over
Yeah.
again of how there's no end.
Hmm.
They just continue,
Yeah.
and that they're in complete peace, no matter
Yes.
what the circumstance of their passing is.
Hmm.
So I'm with you on that. Just for curiosity's sake,
Yeah.
who is the angel reader that you're
I can't even remember. I would have to
okay?
go
I
back
was
and
just
look.
curious because I worked with an angel reader too and learned how to do cards through. And
I
I was
want to say her
wondering if
name's Anne.
okay.
That's the name
Um,
that's coming to my mind.
So I want to talk about when were talking about doing the artwork, not in a loose way, in a
Yeah.
very not well, methodical, but precise
Yeah.
way. And I think that the brain, especially in the beginning, the brain wants to create order amidst the chaos you're
Mhm.
experiencing. And I know from my personal experience, we had coloring books out, and
Mhm.
everyone would come to my house and sit at the table and do coloring books. And it's
Mhm.
something about here are the lines and here's where it goes.
Yes.
And there was something about it that was so comforting and,
Yes.
just calmed everybody down because there was an order to it.
Yes.
And
That
that's a
makes a lot
brain,
of sense.
that's a brain function that you're
Yes.
saying. And I'm sure you can touch on that
Yeah.
as a therapist.
Yeah. I think, what I'm hearing from that, it's like calming the nervous system because the brain just completely goes into a trauma response. And in trauma, things feel chaotic and completely out of control, which that's exactly what happens when you lose a child or lose someone you love. Like, you things are out of your control and it's scary. And so it's your brain or our brains trying to almost have a sense of control in a way. And this is like a healthy outlet for finding that control again. Like you're saying, with like, okay, just tell me what to do, tell me where to color, like follow these steps. It's building back the safety that the nervous system can't find anywhere else. So I
And
think that's
yeah.
a huge um, important thing that you just brought up. It's totally the link of why art helps heal trauma and
Yeah.
grief.
And like you said, I think that is the number one thing we have to address after we go through
Yes.
this an experience initially is to calm the brain, to
Hmm.
return to that place of
Yes.
safety so that you
Yeah.
can open up your connection with your kids.
Yes. Yep. And that can take years and years and years. And I believe that there are different levels of that safety too, and that like nervous system regulation and healing. And I think probably as we go up in the levels of safety and nervous system healing, that probably opens up more and more psychic and mediumship and intuitive connection too. I would guess that those are correlated.
Yeah. You talked about flow state, and I love talking about flow state because
Mm-hmm.
that is the juicy spot. That's what
Yes.
everyone's trying to get to, right? And it,
Yeah.
like you said, it doesn't really matter if it's art or
Mm-hmm.
if you're gardening or you're playing music or whatever, cooking. I mean, it can be anything, any kind of walking, any kind
Yeah.
of thing that will get you out of
Mm-hmm.
that side of your brain that is trying to make sense and make everything in a certain way that's explainable. Um, can you talk about how that opened you up to connecting with Hudson, and maybe
Yeah.
how your art has helped you develop your spiritual life with Hudson?
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like this is like a chicken or the egg situation when I reflect on it. Like, I don't know if my brain naturally changed after he transitioned and I was just more open because he was there, and then it opened up this like creative and intuitive side to me, or if the art helped. But one thing that's interesting when you ask that, I can actually see Hudson's, I call it his blue light, and it's like probably this big in the room. And I see it not with like my third eye, I see it in plain sight. And that started happening a couple weeks after he transitioned too. And I will see it pop in and out at random times. And then I also see tiny, tiny little sparks of white light in the room, which I intuitively feel those are angels. So it kind of feels like, I don't know if the art opened that up or if like having him be on the other side opened up this like intuitive creative side to my brain, but I feel like they're linked and I'm still kind of feeling that out, right? Like um but I think that's where like he's got to be influencing like what what I'm choosing for subjects to paint, or even maybe he's helping me develop my painting skills too. I don't know, but it's all very fascinating to me that like the physical sight and then like the physical like I kind of think about the clairs, right? Like clairvoyance feels like it's a lot stronger. And that being able to see him but also draw what I see or paint what I see, that has gotten stronger too. So I don't know exactly if it what came first, if that makes sense. Or if
Totally
you
makes sense. And I think it probably is all, it's all
yeah,
tied in together.
yeah.
I had taken a psychic course just weeks before Tess passed.
Mm,
And she mentioned in the class, you know, oftentimes people, everybody's born with these abilities, but,
yes.
a lot of times when children are showing these abilities, they get to a certain point where they shut it down because they
Yes.
want to be normal or whatever. They're discouraged from them experiencing it. And, and then something happens to open them back up, or you
Yeah.
have a traumatic event happen to
Yes.
you and it opens that door. And I always say, it didn't open my door when Tess passed. It completely blew up the house.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
there was no separation anymore.
Yeah.
It just she was more present with me than she ever had been in,
Yeah.
without the physical body.
Yeah.
And so when I make my art, it's it, I have no doubt she's influencing me in
Mm-hmm.
whatever ways
Mm-hmm.
I'm creating it. And I had a medium say to me just this week, he kept saying, she's saying, he was talking about my husband, she's saying, experiencing her. And he said, she's saying he visits me every day. And he kept trying to figure out what that means. And I didn't know what he meant by that or what Tess was trying to say. And as we went along, we were talking about my art, and he asked if my art was around the house. And I said, yeah, it's everywhere in my house. And he said, that's what it is. He
Oh my
visits
gosh.
her through the art.
Yeah.
And I said, she's in every piece.
That is so beautiful.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it
Oh
makes
my
me want.
gosh.
Yeah, that's, and then I got it because she's
Yeah.
literally, in some ways, she's literally, there's pieces of her papers that I use
Yeah.
for collage that are in the painting. So it's like
Yes.
literally pieces of Tess.
It's her energy.
It's her energy,
Mm-hmm.
exactly,
That
that
is
I've
so,
channeled
so cool.
onto the canvas. So of
Mm-hmm.
course our kids are working with us, whatever we're doing, whether
Yeah.
it's art or we're going to our job as a cashier, or
Yes.
they're influencing us whether we realize it or not.
I agree. They are our teachers and guides on the other side, but they're right here too in a different way.
It
Yeah.
it's hard to really wrap our human brain around
Yes.
because it's the realities of it are way beyond our comprehension.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, Can you talk a little bit more about the becoming the observer? Because I think that is such an important process to learn in
Mm-hmm.
helping you to, because like we always say, you have to feel it to heal it.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to push those emotions away. You
Right.
don't want to push the fear and all that stuff, even though that's our natural inclination. You
Yeah.
need to witness them and experience them, but not attach. And
Yeah.
the way to do that is what you were talking about. So if you don't mind talking about
Yeah.
that a little more.
Sure. Yeah. So, being the observer of our emotions, I think, especially with trauma and grief, we need a safe container so that it doesn't, um, almost like if you can think about like a pot being on the stove, we don't want to turn up the dial to 9 and have the water just be boiling all over the stove, right? Like we want to kind of keep it on a medium and let it simmer so that we can feel those things, but we're doing it and holding ourselves in a safe container to experience that, because that's something with trauma that it's really easy for it to escalate and to spiral and to not be able to even contain those feelings. So I think that's where like the art can be really helpful, or other modalities too. Um, it sort of like gives your brain this mindful presence, but it's a calm mindful presence to then be able to like let some of those feelings come in and show up and just be there without like overly identifying. And you're also in a really safe space when you're engaging with art and stuff too. So you're not out in the world experiencing triggers and, purposefully like inflaming those feelings. Um, but I think it can be a really hard thing to navigate because it takes a lot of inner awareness to know your personal dial, of what's too much, what's too little. Because some people will have a natural inclination to turn that dial way down and suppress and sweep things under the rug and never, let the grief or the fear, the anger, whatever surface. And it's almost like a volcano. It's going to explode so hard at some point if you keep shoving it down.
And it
And
comes
then,
out
yeah,
when you least expect it
yeah,
or want it to.
yes. And that can be very hard. And I don't want to say that that's wrong or bad. It's just maybe not the easiest way to go through it, right? And then on the other hand, like we don't want to just be triggering ourselves and like stewing on the negative emotions 24/7 either, because that's also not serving us. So if we can find that like balanced middle ground of acknowledging the feelings, working through it, letting them be there for as long as they need to, but also knowing when it's time to switch gears and to shift out of, you know, introspection mode and get back out into life and um, kind of shift off of that for a moment or an hour or a day. I think that's the key piece, is knowing what your middle ground is and how to kind of navigate that. But that can be really hard to do.
And that's where, traditional therapy and getting some professionals involved with
Yes,
some trauma therapy
yes,
specialists would be helpful.
yes, agreed. Yep.
Let me just stop for a moment. Molly, I completely forgot to ask you, are you going to do a tutorial for us?
Yes, I
Okay.
can. Yeah,
How,
let me
let me stop and
pull
ask
that
if
up.
anyone has any questions right now about Molly's journey so far okay, Elizabeth, go just unmute and ask.
I'm just trying to figure this out. I'd like to just put up a butterfly that Molly posted, I believe, day before yesterday. That's so beautiful. Many of you must have seen it, but I also just posted it on Instagram because I love what you say about it as well. So maybe this will give all of you an idea of what the work that Molly does is like. I just wanted to see if I could share my screen and only show that butterfly, which is not easy. So let me just check here. I'm going to share my screen and then I should be able to click here. Yeah, but we still have a lot of other stuff on here. I'm sorry about that. Do you all see this? Christy,
Yes,
do you see this?
yes, we can see it. It's beautiful.
when she was talking about detailed watercolor, I wanted to see for myself what she was talking about. This is more like something that you would see done in pens or in maybe acrylic, but it is very detailed and very difficult to do something like this in watercolor. So very nice. And could I just read what she wrote about it? Or maybe Molly, if you have it handy, maybe you could do that.
I don't have it handy, so if you
Okay.
want to do it, that is fine with me.
Okay, I will do it then, but I need to get back to the right screen, and that's why I was busy doing this. Butterflies, a symbol of change, transitions, and stunning transformation. Butterflies teach us that if we can learn to lean into life's never-ending twists, turns, and shifts, we can navigate the world with such elegant grace. They are also a reminder of the transformational nature of our children's souls from this realm to the next. Have a wonderful weekend, friends. So that's what she had written. And I just think that that's a beautiful thing to say about these butterflies as well. So, yes, you can see them fluttering around, navigating all of these changes that everyone has to go through in their lives with such elegant grace. And I'll go ahead and let you do the tutorial. I also wanted to ask if it was um, Ann Albers
It
who,
is, yes,
oh,
yes,
okay. So
that
she
is.
was at the conference, yeah, and her last
Okay,
name is Albers, and she's located here in
okay.
Phoenix. And she used
Oh
to
my
be an
gosh.
engineer for Honeywell. I don't know if you guys
Oh
know
my
that.
gosh.
Yes,
Kind of like Suzanne Giesemann, who used to work in the
Funny.
Navy. And then she became a medium because she couldn't stop all of these people from the other side telling her that she had to do this. So,
that's amazing. Yes,
thank-
that is who it is. Thank you for saying that.
so anyway, I'll get off.
Thank
Sure.
you, Elizabeth. Yeah, I think all of us, well, many of us can probably relate to getting butterfly signs. I know I
Yeah,
can.
yeah. That's one of my favorite things to paint is like signs from our loved ones. I tend to really like all the nature-based stuff. So different flowers, butterflies, different birds. Like I just love all of it. So let me turn off my video while I get my phone into the little
Okay.
stand, and then we can do a quick demo. Oops, hold on here. Might take me a minute.
That's okay. I struggle with that whole process.
Technology can be challenging. Okay, can you see it all right?
Yeah, only problem is you're sideways.
Oh. Hmm. Okay. Let's see. So I'll be painting like this. Is that still sideways for you?
It's still sideways.
Okay, let me see
I
if I
think you
can
have to
tip it. Is
just,
that better?
there you go. Perfect.
Okay. So I did a little prep work ahead of time. This is going to be a little original, excuse me, of 3 Luna moths. So I did a base coat on these, but I'll kind of just walk us through typically how I work. And this is kind of a beginner's example. And let me know if the focus needs to be changed at all, or if there's any questions along the way too.
Okay, I think
So,
everything looks good. It looks
okay,
focused. If anybody has any questions, just unmute yourself and ask Molly.
yeah, jump in. I'd love to like chat as I'm doing this. And then for materials, I typically use these brushes. They're Princeton Heritage round brushes. And I would say the 3 sizes that I use the most are the 6, the 2, and then this is like a size 0. So the bigger ones obviously fill like larger spaces, and then the little ones are for detailing. And then paper, I really like arches. That's probably my favorite. I always use, oops, my AirPod fell out. I always like to use the 300-pound. This is not the 300-pound, but it's much thicker, and I feel like, I don't know, I think the quality comes out a lot better with the 300-pound. And then also this fluid brand, I like the 300-pound of that too. So, but there's so much out there. I think do what's in your budget and what you like. All right, so I'm going to show like a little wet on wet technique. So I'm just getting some clear water here and wetting down this lower wing. And I'm going to overlap a little bit with the upper wing too. It's going to kind of create a transparent effect with the wings. And then get a little bit of my paint. Let's see. And I'm just gonna kind of drop it in the center and let it bleed out. You can you guys see that okay?
Yes, I can see.
Okay.
Molly, they're asking what kind of brand paint do you prefer?
Oh, I really like Daniel Smith. Um, I have a few different kinds. I have some really old stuff from like that college class that I took that's, I don't know, over 10 years old at this point. And that's, I think, Cotman and maybe one other brand. But yeah, I really like Daniel Smith. I feel like he has some really cool colors, and some of them have really neat like granulating effects, and like this one that I used for this color is Amazonite Genuine. So I think it even like some of them are from like stones and crystals. Is that, I
Yes,
haven't really looked into it, but I
that's
think
true.
that's fascinating.
That's what causes the granulation, I think.
Yeah.
And I would agree. I think his watercolors are the best. And as far from what little I've experienced, and the granulation is always so pretty.
Yes. It's so fun. And I don't know if we think about like from an energetic perspective, it's pretty cool that they like that you can use pigments that are from crystals to paint with.
Yeah.
A little
Where do you order, or where do you buy your paint supplies?
um typically Dick Blick.
Yeah.
I really like their stuff. Sometimes I'll go to Michael's, but I don't feel like they always have exactly what I want there, so usually Dick Blick. Um,
That's what I usually use too. And Dick
yeah,
Blick is really, I think it's a very low minimum order. It's like
yeah,
$35 or something for free
for
shipping.
yes, that sounds right. Yep. So
Someone's
yeah,
asking if you drew the moths freehand.
I did not. So that was another, I meant to say that. I used to start doing all of my paintings freehand, and it took so much time, and I I just didn't really love the drawing process that much. Like I was just excited to get to the painting process, so I started tracing them, and I actually feel like it works out a lot better that way. But you can absolutely freehand if you love drawing. I will say with, doing, if you are going to do a more like precise style like I like to do, I think it works better to trace because you can get the scaling more accurate, and especially with certain subjects too, like botanicals. Um, I know a lot of artists will say if you're going to do portraits, like animal portraits or people portraits, definitely trace because one little, wrong pencil mark can make it totally not look like the person or the animal. So that was a tip I got from an artist that I follow on YouTube, and I actually feel like it's helped so much to trace. So I have this paper I'll show you. Um, here's the little Lunama that I just did on there, and I have some other stuff. So it's just a thin paper, and you can put it over a picture, or like if you pull up a picture on a screen, like on your phone or whatever, you can trace it and then paper and then like flip it over so that when you trace the outline, the graphite transfers, excuse me, transfers onto this paper. Okay,
Fun little
so
tip.
yeah, so here we kind of saw the wet on wet. What I did with the wings, I used some masking fluid. That's this right here. And I put that on the dots and the wings to preserve the white space. So that, like with watercolor, we typically don't use white paint. We always just preserve the white of the paper. So that's a really helpful tool just for like some of the finer details. So you can just, I'll show you how to do it. You just kind of rub it off, take it off with your finger, and then you can paint over that. It kind of is a little gummy. So
I think it's important to mention that you had those wings that you had done before were already dry before you did the next
yes,
layer.
yes, yes. They
So
were
you can
completely dry.
see where it overlaps. Whereas if they
Yep.
were both wet, it would have just run together.
Yes, exactly. That's a great point. Yes. And that's kind of the tricky thing with watercolor. You have to work in stages because a lot of it will get completely ruined and like kind of have these weird blooming effects. I mean, which can be really pretty if you want them, but if you don't, it's kind of disruptive to the painting. So, yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Um, okay, so now I'm just kind of getting a little bit more paint on here, and then we can just like paint in the details. This one is more of a fun one. I chose kind of some different colors, like Luna moths don't actually look like this. This is the correct shape, but you know, the colors are a little bit more bright and funky, but I thought it would be a easy demo. Um, I would say something like this would be a good kind of beginner's thing to try. Flowers are a little bit more, I would say like intermediate or yeah, probably intermediate because with the flowers, you really have to look at the shadows and the light and the dark. And that just, it can take a little bit more time, but these you can get kind of just funky with, which is nice if you just want something to paint.
We have someone that's in our group who is on their phone traveling and they stopped to get coffee and they posted a picture of the coffee. This little stopper they put in the hole has a butterfly on it.
Oh my gosh,
Very similar in color to
really?
I don't know what color, teal or,
Yeah,
yeah.
that feels like a little sign.
Oh, for sure.
I love that. Whoever posted that, is that a sign that you normally get from your child, or is that like a, does that have any significance?
I don't know. We'll find
We'll
out.
find out. So anyways, it's a little bit tricky for me to paint around this tripod here, but I'm doing my best to kind of fill in these details. Is
You're
there
doing
any?
great. And I think it's fun sometimes to use different colors that are not actually
Yeah,
representative of the actual butterfly.
yeah, I think so too. Um, Normally I like to color match, but I was just feeling guided to do something different and bright for this one. And sometimes too, this is kind of a fun tip, and maybe some people Here, I'm just going to finish this wing and then I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'm sure if you all are artists too, maybe you do something similar, but I made all of these little color cards and put them in a thing so that I have all of my paints labeled and I can lay them out and just look at like which colors do I like together. So that's what I did for this one before I started. I was like, okay, which 3 colors do I think would, you know, look pretty for these 3 Luna moths? And I chose those 3. But it's nice because like looking at the tubes, you can't always tell, like it tries to show you. Like this one is the purple one, but this to me looks darker than what it actually looks like on here. So having it on these little color cards can make it easier. And then you can see like, okay, if I use a lot of paint and not a lot of water, that's the color I'm gonna get. If I use a ton of water, that's the color I'm gonna get, which is kind of fun. That's a unique quality of watercolor paints too, that you don't necessarily get with other kinds of mediums.
Yeah, you can have the different opacity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep. So, and then this is kind of a fun thing too. I also have these sparkly paints. I don't know if anybody else has experimented with these, but that's something I love to add in as a little accent on originals. Um, I'm such a sparkle person, so I had to get them.
Me too. I love more sparkle the better
Yes,
in my book.
I agree. I agree. So anyways, I don't know is there anything else you want me to demo, or how long do you want me to show?
We're probably getting to the end of our
Okay.
hour.
All right.
We have about 5 more minutes, and if anyone has any questions, now's the time to step in, and let us know. Otherwise, I don't know, maybe do you have anything that you want to share with us? Parting words, encouragement?
Oh gosh. I think something I wish I would have known early on is that things can and will get better, and that just to lean into your unique journey, because no 2 grief journeys are the same, and just to honor whatever is coming up emotionally. Like if there's lack of emotion there, honor that. If there's a lot of emotion, honor that, and just lean into the tools that help you to move forward and to find some joy and hope, because that's going to look different from the next person too. But yeah, I just wish I would have known like things will get better. And, I don't think that grief necessarily gets better just with time. It takes intention to want to work on your healing too, and to surround yourself with support. Um, so find the people and the things and the activities that bring you joy, and just know that your children love you so much and are always right there cheering you on and trying to help you. Um, so
Well, I could not agree more with everything you just stated. And it's all those little choices that we make that lead us to the greater healing.
yeah,
It's just and sometimes the choice is to feel your feelings that
yes,
feel so great.
yes, yep,
But
exactly.
Um, I think that Helping Parents Heal provides so many resources.
Yes,
And I tell everyone, just try everything.
yes.
You just go try something with an open mind, and maybe it'll help even just a little bit.
Hmm.
But you won't know till you try it.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. And even if it's not something that helps right now, maybe it'll be a modality that comes back around to you in 5 years
That's
and
right.
it'll click at that time. So,
That's right. Totally
yeah.
agree and experience that. Gina, go ahead.
I was just wanting to know where I could get information about being a test sitter for mediums.
I guess you would contact Elizabeth, or I don't know.
No, it's not me. It's actually usually people who are affiliate leaders of Helping Parents Heal or caring listeners and who have been for a long time. It has nothing to do with me though. It's through Mark Ireland, who is the the person who set this up, but I know that he has a pretty long waiting list of people
Oh,
who want to be test sitters, obviously, because I think that's what all of us love to do, is to be able to connect with our children in spirit. But it is an intensive job because
Yes.
the people who are doing the readings are judged on all different kinds of scales that you have to record and write up. And I think that it's a little easier when you're a little bit when you're farther down the journey. Not that you're not, but I think that Mark realizes that having people who understand these things that are happening, understand the way that the medium is doing the reading is helpful. And Molly is actually also training with, obviously with Britta Gruben, as she said, which is very exciting because Britta's been with us since pretty much the beginning of Helping Parents Heal as well. But anyway, I just wanted to say myself that, Molly, this was wonderful. I just love that whole information about the paints. And it was so funny because just last night I was watching Christine watercolor paint, and she had a tube that said lapis lazuli on it. And she said, "Mom,
Yeah.
it's incredible to think that there's actually this
Yes.
crystal or gem in the different paints that you're painting with." So I think that that is something that makes it very spiritual, not just
Hmm.
the fact that you're connecting with your child, but being able to do it through this modality is really exciting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, thank you. I'm sorry. I just wanted to, also, I wanted to say that you did a painting just the other day, Christy, of Blue Ridge Mountains. Actually, that's not the name of the painting, but that's the song you put on. And that is more like when you're allowing the paint to do what Molly doesn't allow the paint to do, because hers is much more precise. Could I quickly just put that painting up just to kind of give an example of that? I love it too. I mean, I love all of these, but do you mind if I do that really
No,
quick?
I don't mind at all. Yeah,
Okay.
that was actually my art journal. I did a lot of art journaling in the beginning, and I just was going back through some of my art journals the other day because they're markers for me now. I can look back and think, oh, that's where I was in that stage of grief. That's what was going on with me and at this stage. And um, anyway, that was
So
in the
this is,
beginning, and
are you
yeah,
able to see it?
I can see it. Yep.
Okay, good. So,
Yeah, and I've never been very good at what Molly does. I would oftentimes just put color on paper and let it see how it interacted with each other. And then at night, I would cut everything into circles. That was my making order of it, of the
Hmm.
chaos. And so anyway, it's like you said, there's all different kinds of ways that you can do the watercolor. And
Hmm.
I just want to thank you, Molly, for coming and sharing your story with us and sharing your process with us. It was just so interesting. You have beautiful work. Please keep posting. And those of you who came and joined us today, thank you. And thank you to those down the road who watched this. Please post anything you want to share. You can post your artwork. You can post artwork you like. You can post your kids' artwork. But we all love seeing the artwork on the actual page. So anyway, everyone have a great rest of your day. And thank you for coming. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Good night.
Unmute and
Bye.
thank Molly.
Bye, everyone. Thanks,
you.
Molly.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thanks.